Morning. Your pastors are here together. I want to ask you a question. Where, and this is for you guys to answer too, where is the first time that you hear mention of Jesus in the Bible? First time. Where's it come?
I'd say the spoken word in Genesis 1.
Okay, so Ryan's just going right back. You're looking at the title to this Bible study, Jesus in the beginning. You're like, let's just call it. I'm going to say it. Oh, he's there everywhere. All right. Where would most of us say that this is the first time we hear mention of Jesus?
The Gospels. Matthew.
Matthew's the first guy. Okay, so Matthew. All right. So wow, I don't know where the first time you see Jesus' name is going to be Matthew sometime, right? First couple chapters of Matthew when Mary and Joseph are given the name Jesus that they're supposed to name their newborn child.
And I guess the prophets, Isaiah talks about this person that we know now as Jesus.
Yeah. We know, and if you study back and you look at that, we know that there's some history of the person and the individual that the prophets like Isaiah are talking about, Cyrus the king, but moving forward, we know that Cyrus didn't do everything that the prophets hoped for, and so we look back and say, no, really, this is the Messiah, this is Jesus that Isaiah was speaking about. But contextually, there's some different things going on. So, where's Jesus? First time you get him in the Bible. So I challenge you with that question today. And we want to jump right to Proverbs chapter 8, verse 12, which is where we're reading today in our in-person study, which is going to happen right at 12 noon. You can come and join us if you're watching right now. Come on and join us at 12 noon. We're going to start right at verse 12. Online today, I want to pick up at verse 17. Before we start reading there, I want to invite you to realize that right here in Proverbs chapter 8, wisdom is personified. Wisdom is kind of this amazing lady who's walking around and calling out to people and begging you really to marry wisdom. That's kind of the metaphor that's going on here. And here in Proverbs chapter 8 at verse 12, wisdom is giving a speech, standing in the streets, giving a speech, trying to let folks know why they should receive her. And so here she says in verse 12, I, wisdom, live with prudence. I attain knowledge and discretion. But as we jump forward to verse 17, I want you to listen to what wisdom says as she calls on the street corners and at the gate towards all people to receive her. She says this, I love those who love me, and those who seek me diligently find me. Riches and honor are with me, enduring wealth and prosperity with me. My fruit is better than gold, even fine gold, and my yield better than choice silver. I walk in the way of righteousness, along the paths of justice, endowing with wealth those who love me and filling their treasures. A lot of, just to sort of start with, a lot of I statements here, right? I do this, I do that. And wisdom has something to say. And so what I want to invite us all to consider is when we think about the world around us, we've gotten several words in this passage: love, riches, honor, wealth, prosperity, wealth, again, treasure, righteousness, good things. When you think about our world, our society, our culture, where do these things come from? How do we pursue those things in the world?
Hard work.
hard work.
So you can make money and buy them.
Yeah, so you can make money and buy those things. Okay. Where else? How do we, as a people, maybe even as a nation, how do we pursue love, riches, honor, wealth, prosperity? You can answer online too if you're watching. Just type in the chat there.
Well, to pursue love, you have to take them on a date first, right?
Okay, you're gonna take somebody out.
You got to court.
And as a people, as a nation, as a country, if you want to pursue riches, honor, wealth, and prosperity, you might take people out in another kind of way. Not on a date kind of way, but
War.
war, that war kind of way.
Yeah.
Competition in the business world, if you're going to pursue wealth, honor, prosperity, riches, and even love, if you want folks to love your business, there's that competition thing that goes on in our world. And you've got all these other businesses, right? And you're competing against them one with another. And to actually get these things, love, riches, honor, wealth, prosperity,
Conquer and capture. Conquer and capture.
It really is, at the end of the day, every one of these, whether it's war or dates or conquering or competition, or even sort of the success that you've got to sort of take. That's the mindset, I think, of our world is that you have to win, you have to take. It's kind of a dog eat dog world. But Proverbs says something different. Proverbs says something different here. And what specifically does Proverbs say? Where do these things come from? Well, Proverbs says they come from wisdom. And wisdom is a lady, a woman, who is beckoning us to hear her, to listen to her, and to receive what she is telling and teaching and asking from us. Now, how does any of this connect with where is the first time we hear Jesus in the Bible? Here's the thing. In the history and interpretation of the Bible, theologians often connect wisdom to Jesus. And right here in Proverbs 8, I think is a unique place that wisdom and Jesus are connected. Because what does Jesus come and tell us? Where does Jesus tell us that we get love, riches, honor, wealth, and prosperity from? God's way, right? Jesus comes to show us God's way, and God's way is different from the way of the world. And we pursue these things by following God, by following specifically the way that Jesus came to teach us, that leads us to God. And here in Proverbs chapter 8, we have an image of a person who is God made flesh, in the image and the idea of wisdom, as a woman on the street corner, beckoning and calling to us to receive what she has to offer. And that image is a completely different source for love, riches, honor, wealth, and prosperity, just as Jesus comes to show us. So I want to suggest to all of us, to you, to us as well, that here we have Jesus personified in a bit of a different form. Before Jesus is born as an infant into the world, here is Jesus as Lady Wisdom in the book of Proverbs. Now, if that sounds like to you online a new idea, what? Never heard this before? This idea actually has a long history of interpretation amongst Bible scholars and theologians. That wisdom and Jesus are one, and that wisdom in the Old Testament is sort of the foreshadowing of Jesus. And I want to say it this way. We often say, well, when is God made flesh? God's made flesh through Jesus. And so Jesus, we get the Jesus story in the Gospels, and that comes in the New Testament. And the Old Testament, well, that's the Old Covenant, and that's that Jesus comes to establish a completely new covenant. What I want to say to you today is, no, not exactly. The seeds of the way of Christ are throughout the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation. And we see right here in Proverbs the way of Jesus Christ, the way that Jesus Christ came to teach us, God made flesh. Here it is personified in a story. This is the way of Jesus, that love, riches, honor, wealth, and prosperity don't simply come from the world, but that they come through God. And wisdom is of God and from God and created by God and a part of who God is in Proverbs. And we've been talking about that in our Bible studies for a couple of weeks now. So I'm going to pause there. What does this say? What does this say to you? What does this mean to you? What is this? How does this come across? Is this bogus? Or does this have some merit? What do you guys think?
Well, so, I mean, even what we're hearing there in those verses after 17 are I'm thinking one of the things that are coming to mind are some of the parables of Jesus. Mm-hmm. Like Jesus talking about, where do you store your things and your riches? And talking about, I'm going to fill the treasuries is what wisdom says. So, this as a connection to the teachings of Jesus. I think Jesus got it, that he was here in wisdom.
So not only can we understand Jesus and wisdom and their connection as theologians have talked about it, but right here, even in this passage, you see Jesus pulling from these metaphors.
Sure.
Where do your treasures come from? Do you store them up on earth and in the barns, or do you store them up in heaven? Literally, some of the images of Jesus' parables are found right here in this very passage as well. Love it.
Yeah. It's like Jesus is all over this passage. To me, it reads like that. It's almost like a spiritual prosperity gospel. Not prosperity gospel, not material prosperity gospel, but like a spiritual, this abundant life is coming through. And wisdom is holding all of that. And Jesus is personified wisdom in the now and in the New Testament is offering that.
Wisdom is kind of the conduit,
Yeah.
the instrument for this good life of abundance. And we've been talking about that on Sunday mornings as well. And so, yeah, I think that Jesus is here. Jesus is here right in Proverbs 8. And I think it's a challenge to us to not simply read the Bible as these two distinct separate books, right? That there's the Old Covenant and the New Covenant. And folks, if you're watching, I know there's plenty of preachers out there and pastors and teachers that are going to talk in that kind of language. And I challenge you to look more deeply at your Bible to recognize when the seeds, the foreshadowing of Jesus is present. There's a great place in Proverbs 8. Proverbs 8, beginning in verse 22. We're going to start this beautiful section next week. So tune in next week. Same time, same bad place. As we're going to look at this beautiful poetry about wisdom and creation and in the beginning. And we're going to see Jesus and these seeds of Jesus, this foreshadowing of Jesus, even more clearly in the rest of Proverbs 8. But it's right here in these verses that connect the way of God as made clearest through Jesus is also present right here in the midst of what we call the Old Testament. It is present here. The way of God shines through. It is Lady Wisdom who calls from the street corner that says to us, this is the way of God. This is the way that God invites us to live, to not pursue things like love and wealth and honor and prosperity through the ways of the world, but rather through the wisdom of God. Where do we see that wisdom most clearly? Jesus Christ. But here the seeds are present. Jesus is present from Genesis to Revelation. We invite you to reflect and to pray on that this week. If you do have some prayer concerns this week, we want to invite you to connect with us. Please go ahead and text the word pray to 910-892-2711. That'll help us, the pastors here at Hood Memorial Christian Church, connect with you. We would love to be able to lift something specific to you up in prayer. Know that those prayers will be private. They'll only be shared amongst the three of us if you choose that. But that if you simply text that word to our church number on the screen, we'll ask you a little bit about what we can pray for you about, and you can connect with us and even receive some more information from our church family. We hope that you'll do that today. And if you are sitting at home right now, well, you've got 30 minutes to hop in the car and drive on down to the church. We'll go even deeper into this passage in Proverbs 8. We'll explore some more and mine some more wisdom from the passage on wisdom in Proverbs. Brothers and sisters, take care. Know that we love you. We hope to see you soon at Hood Memorial Christian Church. God bless.
God bless.